You stood alone. Your pain was witnessed, but it was met with silence. A deafening void that cut deeper than any words could. Those around you saw the storms gathering, the weight pressing down on your shoulders, yet they turned away. They chose comfort over courage, leaving you to face the darkness without allies. But in that isolation, something stirred. A fire within you flickered, refusing to be extinguished. This was no ordinary flame. It was the first spark of your awakening, the undeniable sign that you are chosen. That silence wasn't your defeat. It was your proving ground. When the world ignored your cries, you didn't crumble. You stood taller, not because you had to, but because something inside you wouldn't let you fall. Science tells us that resilience isn't just grit. It's a neurological rewiring, a shift in your brain's pathways forged through adversity. Spiritually, it's more than that. It's the universe whispering through your cells, igniting a primal force that says, you were built for this. That fire within you is not random. It's the mark of a soul destined to rise. Look back at those moments when you felt abandoned. What did you do? You didn't wait for permission or validation. You moved forward. That's the first clue to recognizing your chosen nature. Start observing yourself now. Notice how you react when the odds stack against you. Do you shrink, or does something fierce push back? Track those instances when you feel that heat in your chest, that unshakable resolve. Write them down if you have to. These aren't coincidences. They're evidence. Your ability to stand in the silence isn't weakness. It's power, raw and untamed, waiting for you to claim it. The shift from pain to acceptance doesn't happen overnight. First, that silence stings. It's a betrayal, a chorus of empty promises from those who swore they'd stand by you. You might have asked yourself, why me? But here's the truth. The question isn't why. It's what now? You've already survived the worst of it. Neuroscience backs this. Your brain adapts to trauma by strengthening its emotional core, turning wounds into wisdom. Spiritually, it's a crucible. That fire within you burns away doubt, leaving only the truth of who you are. You're not the victim of their silence. You're the victor of your own soul. So how do you know you're chosen? Start here. Stop looking outward for proof. The world won't hand you a crown. It'll hand you challenges. Your proof lies in how you face them. Step 1, watch your instincts. When chaos hits, do you run or do you rise? Step 2, feel that fire. It's not anger or desperation. It's clarity, a steady burn that cuts through the noise. Step 3, own it. Speak to yourself with certainty. I am chosen. This is my path. Say it out loud if you must. Words have power. They anchor your truth. Step 4, act. Take one small, deliberate move today that defies the silence. Could be as simple as standing up for yourself when you'd normally stay quiet. That initial spark, the fire that refused to die, wasn't a fluke. It was your soul's alarm clock, blaring through the haze of isolation. You felt it, maybe in the dead of night when no one was watching, or in the middle of a storm when you should have broken but didn't. That's not just survival. That's destiny waking up. The silence of others didn't snuff it out because it was never theirs to control. It's yours, a beacon signaling that you're not here to blend in, you're here to burn bright. Your pain was real, but it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The world might have turned its back, but you didn't. You stood alone, not because you were forsaken, but because you were being forged. That fire within you is your birthright, a force older than the stars, pulsing through your veins. Modern science might call it neuroplasticity or adrenaline. Spiritual wisdom calls it your higher self breaking free. Either way, it's undeniable. You're not just alive, you're a light. And this is only the start. You've faced the darkness alone. The moment came when those you trusted stepped back, their footsteps fading into silence, leaving you to wrestle with shadows they refused to confront. That sting of abandonment hit hard. Friends, family, allies, all choosing the safety of their own comfort over standing with you in the storm. But here's the truth you need to grip tight. That isolation wasn't a curse. It was a divine shield. It didn't break you. It built you. You're still standing, not because of their absence, but because of your strength. Let's cut through the noise. When the world leaves you to face the darkness without allies, it's not just a social betrayal. It's a battlefield. People don't get you. They see your fire and flinch, mistaking your intensity for chaos, your purpose for obsession. They whisper behind your back, or worse, they go silent, pretending your struggle doesn't exist. And there you are, in the thick of it, feeling the weight. But don't mistake this for rejection. This is your initiation. The universe didn't abandon you, it cleared the stage so you could shine. How do you hold your ground when no one understands? First, stop explaining yourself. You're not here to convince anyone of your worth. They'll see it when you rise. Science backs this. Mirror neurons fire when people connect, but when they can't relate, they disconnect. Spiritually, it's simpler. They're not on your frequency. That's their limit, not yours. Stand firm in your chosen identity. Look at yourself in the mirror and say it. I am enough. This path is mine. Feel that shift in your chest when you do. That's your soul locking into place, unshaken by their doubt. Isolation doesn't mean weakness. It's your forge. When no one's there to lean on, you dig deeper. Neuroscience calls it adaptive plasticity. Your brain rewires itself to handle stress, turning survival into strength. Spiritually, it's the divine at work, stripping away crutches so you learn to walk with power. That loneliness you felt? It wasn't punishment. It was protection. A shield keeping you from relying on fragile human loyalty when your mission demands something greater. You weren't left behind, you were set apart. Now let's turn that victory into fuel. You're here, victorious despite it all, and that's no accident. Every tear, every sleepless night, every time you clenched your fists and kept going, it forged you. The triumph tastes sweeter because you earned it alone, without applause or a safety net. Take that energy and wield it. Start small but deliberate. When someone dismisses you today, don't shrink. Stand taller. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. That's your power growing, a force they can't ignore. What do you do when the pressure hits? Lean into the shield. Picture it, when the world turns cold, when judgment or silence presses in, see that isolation as armor. It's not a wall shutting you out. It's a fortress keeping distractions at bay. Step 1, breathe. Slow, deep, intentional. Oxygen floods your system, calming the chaos. Science proves it lowers cortisol fast. Step 2, ground yourself. Feel your feet on the earth, your roots sinking deep. You're not floating, you're anchored. Step 3, claim it. Whisper or shout. This is my shield. I am protected. The divine didn't leave you defenseless. It gave you this. Your victory isn't just survival. It's defiance. They thought you'd fall when they stepped away, but you didn't. That's the secret they'll never grasp. Your strength doesn't need their approval. In those dark moments, when no human hand reached out, you found something stronger. The unchanging presence of the divine. Grip that truth like a weapon. It's not abstract. It's real, steadying you when everything else falters. You're not just enduring, you're thriving, polished by the very tears they ignored. Here's your move now, own the isolation. Stop seeing it as a wound and start wielding it as a tool. Next time you're in a room full of blank stares or half-hearted nods, don't flinch. Let them feel uneasy. Your light exposes their shadows, not the other way around. Take one action today that proves you don't need their validation. Write that idea down they scoffed at. Speak that truth they dodged. Act on it. This triumph is yours, forged in solitude, and no one can take it from you. The darkness didn't win because you didn't let it. When allies vanished, you didn't collapse, you adapted. That's the chosen spark in you, the one that turns isolation into invincibility. Science might call it resilience. Spirituality calls it destiny. Either way, it's yours to command. You're not waiting for the world to catch up, you're leading, whether they follow or not. This shield, this fire, this victory, it's all you, and you're just getting started. The authority now rests upon your shoulders. Feel it, a weight that doesn't crush but lifts, a mantle that hums with purpose. This isn't some vague idea. It's a high-dimensional download, a surge of insight crashing into your being like a wave you didn't see coming. You're not imagining it. That sudden clarity, those ideas that hit you out of nowhere, the knowing that cuts through the noise. It's real. You're tapped in, chosen one, and the universe is speaking directly to you. This is your signal to step up, to prepare for what's unfolding. Let's get straight to it. You're receiving information from beyond the veil. Call it intuition, downloads, or cosmic transmissions. Labels don't matter. What matters is the fire it ignites in your gut, the electric pulse that tells you this isn't random. Science might frame it as your brain's reticular activating system filtering signals from the noise of existence, amplifying what aligns with your purpose. Spiritually, it's higher realms breaking through, handing you the keys to your mission. Either way, it's happening. Your job? Learn to catch it, hold it, and wield it. But here's the catch. How do you know it's real? How do you separate true high-dimensional guidance from your own projections? Start with this. Real downloads don't stroke your ego. They challenge you. They arrive unbidden. Often when you're quiet, washing dishes, walking alone, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. They don't bend to your desires. They demand you stretch beyond them. Step 1. Test the signal. Ask yourself, does this feel bigger than me? If it's just replaying your hopes or fears, it's noise. If it pulls you towards something greater, something you can't fully grasp yet, it's the real deal. People around you are starting to squirm. You've noticed it, the way their eyes dart away, their tone shifts, or they suddenly have somewhere else to be. Your presence unnerves them now, not because you've changed into someone harsh or loud, but because your light exposes their shadows. Your resilience mirrors their compromises, and they don't like what they see. Don't shrink from this. Their discomfort isn't your burden. It's their signal to wake up. You're called to stand firm, rooted in a supernatural dependence on His presence alone. That dependence is your anchor. When the room empties out, when the whispers start, you don't waver because you're not leaning on their approval. You're plugged into something unshakable. Picture it. Their voices fade, their judgments blur, and all you feel is a steady hum, a presence that doesn't flinch, doesn't falter. Science might call it a neurochemical calm, a flood of serotonin steadying your system. Spiritually, it's the divine holding you upright. Either way, it's your lifeline. Lean into it. Breathe it in. This is how you stay solid when the world pulls back. So how do you catch these downloads and make them work? Get practical. Step 1. Carve out silence. 5 minutes, 10, whatever you can steal. No phone, no noise, just you and the void. That's where the signal breaks through. Step 2. Feel your body. High-dimensional info isn't just thoughts. It's physical. A tingle down your spine, a heat in your chest, a pull in your gut. Track it. Step 3. Write it down fast. Don't overthink. Just let the pen move. You'll refine it later. Step 4. Test it. Act on one piece, small but bold. Does it align? Does it flow? That's your confirmation. Don't expect it to be comfortable. These transmissions shake you awake. They might come as a sudden urge to speak, to create, to move, sometimes when you least expect it. You might feel restless, like you're buzzing with energy you can't contain. That's the authority settling in, demanding you prepare. Neuroscience says your brain's prefrontal cortex lights up under purpose-driven stress, sharpening your focus. Spiritually, it's your soul stepping into rank, aligning with a mission that's been yours since before you breathed. You're not just receiving, you're being forged. Their unease isn't your problem. It's your power. When people shift their gaze or change their tone, it's not rejection. It's awe they don't know how to handle. You're walking with an authority they can't name, and it's pulling you beyond their limits. Don't chase their validation. Chase the signal. Ask yourself daily, what's coming through me now? Listen hard. The answers won't always be gentle, but they'll be true. They'll push you to act, to stand, to claim what's yours. Here's your move, anchor deeper. Next time you feel that download hit, maybe it's a phrase looping in your mind, a vision you can't shake. Stop everything. Breathe slow. Feel it land. Say out loud, I'm ready. Show me. Then do something with it. Speak it, build it, share it, small or massive, doesn't matter. Action locks it in. This isn't passive waiting. It's active receiving. You're not just chosen, you're commissioned. The authority on your shoulders isn't a burden. It's a weapon. You're not alone in this, even when it feels that way. The presence holding you isn't some distant idea. It's here, now, closer than your heartbeat. When the world pulls away, when the downloads flood in, that's your strength beyond yourself kicking in. Grip it tight. Science might call it peak performance under pressure. Spirituality calls it divine alignment. Both are right. You're wired for this, built for this, called for this. The high-dimensional connection isn't a gift. It's your birthright. Step into it. You've been through the fire, the kind of trials they couldn't even look at, let alone endure. Those moments when the ground beneath you cracked, when their silence echoed louder than any scream, weren't meant to bury you. They were meant to transform you. And they did. What they were too afraid to acknowledge. Your pain, your struggle, your raw, unyielding spirit has become the very foundation of your authority. Stand tall in it now. What was meant to destroy you has only defined you, carving a path no one else could walk. This is your victory, chosen one, and it's time to wield it. Their silence wasn't your ending. It was your blank page. When they turned away, when they left you to face the shadows alone, they handed you a gift they didn't even realize. Freedom. Freedom to write your own story, unshackled from their fear, their doubt, their smallness. You didn't just survive, you began. Every step you took through that darkness was a word. Every tear a sentence. Every defiant breath a chapter. Now you're not just holding the pen, you're crafting a new era. One where your light doesn't just shine, it ignites. This is your mission unfolding, and it starts with owning that transformation. How do you stand tall in this new authority? First, feel it. Close your eyes and let it sink in. Those trials didn't break you. They shaped you. Science says your nervous system rewired itself under pressure, turning chaos into clarity. Your brain literally grew stronger. Spiritually, it's more than that. It's your soul stepping into rank, claiming a power that's been yours all along. Step 1. Stop apologizing for your strength. When you speak, don't soften it. When you move, don't hesitate. Step 2. Look back at what you overcame. Name it out loud if you have to. I faced that, and I'm still here. That's your badge, your proof. You're being called into the ranks of the 144,000, not as a follower, but as a practitioner, a living demonstration of what's possible. This isn't some distant prophecy. It's a now moment, a vibration pulsing through you. The 144,000 aren't waiting in the clouds. They're waking up on the ground, and you're one of them. How do you step into this? Start acting like it. Step 3. Live your truth daily. When you feel that fire in your chest, don't smother it. Share it. Speak it, create it, show it. Step 4. Lead by being. You don't need a podium. Your life is the stage. The world watched as you were wronged. Now they'll watch as you rise. Balance is your weapon in this mission. The trials were heavy, the betrayal sharp, and the transformation intense. Your emotions will swing hard if you let them. Don't. You're not here to be tossed by the waves. You're here to command them. Here's how. When the high of victory hits, savor it, but don't cling. When the sting of memory bites, feel it, but don't dwell. Ground yourself, 5 minutes a day, feet on the earth, breathing deep. Science proves this resets your cortisol. Spiritually, it aligns your frequency. Ask yourself, what's my center today? Find it. Hold it. This keeps you steady as you build something bigger than their silence. Let's talk practice. How do you become that demonstration? It's not abstract. It's action. Step 5. Identify your spark. What sets your soul ablaze? Not what they told you to want, what you can't ignore. Teaching, healing, creating, that's your lane. Step 6. Hone it. Take one skill tied to that spark and sharpen it. Read, practice, experiment. Step 7. Give it. Don't hoard your light. Offer it even in small ways. Help one person, shift one room, plant one seed. The 144,000 don't just rise, they lift. Your transformation isn't yours alone. It's a beacon for those still lost in the dark. The path to your mission isn't a straight line, it's personal and you've got to map it. Here's your plan, grab a notebook. Write this down. What broke me? What built me? List the trials, be specific. Next column, how they changed you. Maybe that betrayal taught you trust in yourself, or that isolation birthed your voice. Now flip the page. What's my stand? Define it one sentence. I stand to heal. I stand to awaken. Whatever it is, make it yours. Then, break it into moves. 3 things you'll do this week to live it. Call someone. Start that project. Step out. This isn't theory, it's your blueprint. Their discomfort isn't your burden. It's their mirror cracking. When they flinch at your presence now, when they stumble over words or avoid your gaze, it's not rejection. It's recognition. Your authority, forged in the trials they dodged, rattles their world. Don't dim it to ease them. Ask yourself, do I shrink or do I rise? Rise. Every time. Step 8. Claim your space. Walk into a room like you own it, not with arrogance but with certainty. Your energy shifts the air now, and that's not ego, it's fact. They'll adjust or they'll fade. Either way, you keep building. What was meant to destroy you has only defined you. Grip that truth like a blade. Those who thought your isolation would be your downfall are about to see it become your greatest triumph. How? By creating. Their silence gave you a blank page, and you're not just writing. You're architecting a new reality. Step 9, dream it out. What does your era look like? Not their rules, not their limits, yours. Write it down. Wild, bold, unfiltered. Step 10, start it. One piece today. A conversation, a sketch, a move. The new era isn't coming. It's here, and you're the spark. This mission isn't a burden. It's a battle cry. You're not just transformed. You're transcendent. The trials they feared to face are now your crown. You're proof that you're chosen. Balance keeps you sharp, practice makes you real, and your personal path turns vision into victory. Their silence? It's irrelevant now. You've got the pen, the fire, the authority. The world's watching, not to judge, but to witness. So stand tall. Write the story. Ignite the age. This is your time and you're ready. And so, here you stand, not merely a survivor of the silence, but a sentinel of the light. A chosen one whose very existence redefines what it means to rise. The fire that once flickered in the void has grown into a blaze that no darkness can deny. A testament to a mission etched into your soul long before the world turned away. This is not just your victory. It is your charge, to wield this unshakable identity with purpose, to illuminate the shadows for those still lost, and to prove that the divine spark within you was never meant to fade, but to set the universe ablaze.